If you wanted to have your Arduino code only print things out every so often so they didn't scroll too quickly to see, then you could always use the delay function to tell the microcontroller to just stop doing anything useful at all for long enough. That would, of course, eliminate a lot of the functionality of your microcontroller because it should be doing stuff continuously. So let's look at how we can print things out without using a delay function. I've got this little sketch here called Print Timing, and it's in the Resources folder on the MEC 217 site, and it's fairly straightforward. The setup part of the sketch, it just begins the serial port so that we can print some stuff out. And then in the loop, it's going around and around in circles, doing some calculations with some sign values here. And that's not particularly important. What's really important is down here where it's got an if statement to test whether or not it's going to print out. And so only if this if statement succeeds will it wind up printing some data over here on the serial port. So I'll just compile it now. We'll see what happens. It goes through, it compiles, it uploads, and it begins sending that data to the serial port. And it's only happening every 1/10 of a second. That's because I've set this print interval up here to 100,000. That's 100,000 microseconds, or 1/10 of a second. If I set it to 1,000,000 and upload the file again, we should see things happening only once every second. That was the target anyway. So 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. It's doing that, and there are no delay functions in here. So it's constantly going around this loop, calculating sign values as fast as it can, or it could be reading analog data. So let's see how it actually works. The key here is this loop function keeps getting called over and over again. But up here at the top, by declaring this variable, last write, as being static, that keeps the same value of last write every time we go to the function. So it remembers what it set last write to. This one, on the other hand, this float data, it creates a new array every time the function's called. So it doesn't remember anything between function calls. So when we start off with last write equal to 0 the first time we call the loop function, it'll go down and it'll do the calculations. And then if the number of microseconds that have elapsed since startup minus the last write value, that's equal to 0, is greater than the print interval, that's our 1,000,000 for microseconds in 1 second, then it will go through here and do the printing. Otherwise, if micros hasn't gotten to be bigger than 1,000,000 yet, it won't do anything. It'll just go back and go around the loop. Now this is really simple, so it checks it. If it's been at least a second, we've gone through print interval worth of microseconds, then it'll set last write to whatever the value of micros is now, so the current time. It goes and it prints out some data, and then it goes back around the loop. And it won't execute this part of the loop that's in the if statement again until, now that we've got a last write value of around 1,000,000, it'll wait until micros gets up to about 2,000,000. It'll keep on going, always waiting to print until we've gone at least as far as the print interval value past the last time we wrote out some data. So this is a pretty simple approach to timing your output, and we can do whatever we want. If we make that number really small, we should see data coming out really quickly. I've set it to 10,000, so I should see data that's coming out about once every 10 milliseconds. And let's check that. 756, 766, 776, 786. So yeah, I'm getting it about every 10 milliseconds. Let's try setting it to something really small, like 100. Now, eventually I'm going to get to the point where it can't keep up. So this should be printing out data every 1/10 of a millisecond, but in fact it's only printing out data about once every millisecond. So I've set the print interval to actually shorter time than it takes to print this stuff out. So I can't make it go infinitely fast, but I can still have some control over how fast it goes. This is a technique you'll use over and over again in all your sketches so that you can be doing things in your loop and controlling how quickly the output is coming up on your serial monitor so that you can actually read the numbers as they scroll past.